Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Grab your popcorn, your drink or beverage of choice, cup of coffee, maybe a cup of tea. Don't forget the Kool-Aid for the kids. Call your mama and your papa, your grandmama and your grandpapa, your nieces and your nephews, your siblings, your brothers, sisters, your auntie and your nene. Call your neighbors and your friends. Let them all know that Simon Says is on. Now buckle up. We'll be right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Well, the set might look a little different today, but it's okay. We're not where we're supposed to be, so that's okay. First, I'm going to give you what did I say? An intro, right? And to begin, let's see this clip with Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. Well, I don't believe he was Prime Minister then. He was the leader of the opposition then, the leader of the political leader of the NDC. They didn't have an opposition because they got 15-0. So the leader of the National Democratic Congress, here is Deacon Mitchell on what the NLA monies should be used for, period.
Sport is a profession, the same way you have to do it day in, day out. And we are proposing that for any sportsman or woman, regardless of the category, swimming, cricket, football, netball, volleyball, tennis, that once you are training to represent the people of P.T. Martin, Carriacou, and Grenada, that the state of Grenada will pay you while training, will pay you while you are traveling, to ensure that you do not have to worry about where your next meal is coming from while representing Grenada. Now they're going to ask where the money is coming from. And I will answer this. Ask them what they are using the National Lotteries Authority money for. So we are not talking development of sports and culture, we will do it. And so we have every intention of ensuring that the public knows in a transparent manner what the National Lotteries Authority funds are being used for. And under an NDC government, it will be sports and culture, full stop.
Sports and culture, full stop. In a transparent manner, he said. Now, if you look on your screen, you see a list, and I dare say a short list, because the list is longer than that. I'm not sure. Maybe that's what they could afford to pay now, the checks they could write now. But if you look on your screen, you'll see that list, a short list, put out there by the chairperson of the board of directors, Ms. Gail Purcell. Of course, it was put out there in error. But as quick as we are, spend a minute up on her profile. And we were able to stop it. Now, this list of persons were being notified of that the checks are ready. Now, some of them might have done work for the NLA. We don't know at this point what the NLA has going on. However, can someone please tell the people, why is it that Andrea St. Bernard is on that list and collecting checks? And why is it? Eddie Frederick is on that list, on the NLA list to collect checks. How about abstract decor? Are any of the persons or companies on that list sports persons or cultural ambassadors, cultural people? Because according to the Prime Minister, the National Lottery Authority monies under his watch will only be for sports and culture, with transparency, as he said. Sports and culture, period. Right? Full stop. That's it. And he got a big round of applause. Big round of applause for that. And you can see the attitude when he got the applause. Yeah. So, should we speak then of the former chairman of the Lottery Authority, Mr. William Batiste? If you look on the screen, our infamous photo, that photo not going anywhere anytime soon, right? You'd see Mr. Batiste there in the yellow t-shirt. And Mr. Batiste reaped havoc at the National Lottery Authority as being chairman. Embezzlement, wastage, fraud. Take on his own and renovate the Victoria Park for $275,000 and had an overrun of $295,000. His business that was dead, that died, resurrected, and is selling stationery and whatever the NLA needs. Invoices, 200,000, 100,000, 68,000. They just invoices after invoices to cat wheels. Him and his girlfriend, his lover, who is the managing director, Miss Cindy Henry. There on the screen is a photo of Miss Cindy Henry, right there in her NBC logo t-shirt at the party's general council on the 21st of June, 2026. Traveling to France, to Paris for one day to a meeting, spending $36,000 out of the NLA money, honeymooning, I would say. They spent 2 weeks for a one-day meeting. Nobody knows what the meeting was about at the authority. Then had similar trips to the US, costing $40,000 a trip, him and his lover. They were the only two signatories on the account of the NLA. That's the transparency Mr. Deacon Mitchell was speaking of. That's the transparency he was speaking of? Huh? 200,000 for training center on Scott Street. Never materialized, no training ever took place. Paying the facilitator after getting $70,000. Paying her monthly, and there's no classes, no training center, nothing taking place. Where the $200,000 gone, we would like to know. The purchasing of a building on Melville Street and the rent going to a law office in St. Andrew, not to the NLA, and the NLA supposedly bought the building. Can we get, a little bit more transparent here? We ask because we were told that the rent was being picked up by a gentleman from St. Andrews and brought to the chief of staff of the prime minister, Teddy St. Louis' office in St. Andrew. Simon says, I'll call on Mr. St. Louis to come out and disagree or agree or tell us why the monies were going to his office. We have heard nothing. Is that transparency? I mean, money after money after money. Just big money. Written to himself, him and his girlfriend, writing to them to themselves, to you know, where is the transparency there? Folks, when you're on the other side, you could say what you want, right? Because you're out there. And it looked easy. The amount of things this prime minister told us, this gentleman as leader of the opposition, should I say, told us, that didn't materialize after, that he didn't do after. It was all to get into office. Because when you hear these things, you say, well, okay, that sounds feasible. The lotto money is going to be used for, and the advertisement says, right? Sports, culture, and nation building. So that list of persons, if you can be a little transparent with us, Prime Minister, you are the chairman of the Lottery Authority, and let us know what they're paid for, why they were paid, and what they're paid for, and how much money they've been collected. Because there are others, we told, that's on a list that collects money from the NLA monthly. Right? So I could go on and on with a whole lot of corruption, a whole lot of embezzlement of the funds of the Lottery Authority. And then one day, we woke up to the news that Mr. Batiste had resigned his position as chairman of the National Lottery Authority. It was rumored that the prime minister asked him to resign. Why? We have not heard. The prime minister never came to us and the people and say to us, well, like he did a press conference when he fired both Minister Ron Redhead and Minister Lacrette, right? He came and did a press conference. He never told us what happened with Mr. Batiste. And the funny thing is, Mr. Batiste was fired by Mr. Lacrette when he took the position as Minister for Sports, Youth and Sports, and was brought in by the staff of the Lottery Authority and showed him, opened up the books and showed him what was going on. When Minister Lacrette saw what was going on, he had no choice. He gave Mr. William Batiste a dismissal letter. The Prime Minister asked Minister Lacrette to rescind the letter, to take back that letter, and that he would investigate. Well, no one can say from the authority that the Prime Minister came in and investigate or had anybody come in and investigate Mr. William Batiste. And Mr. William Batiste remained there as chairman. And when his bag couldn't hold anymore, the long bag, you know, he resigned. To date, we have no idea why he resigned. Nobody told us why he resigned. So if that is transparency, well, I wouldn't like to see what is not. Because, I mean, the amount of wrongdoing that took place in the NLA between Mr. William Batiste and his lover that he hired and brought into the NLA as managing director, Ms. Cindy Henry, a position that the entire board of directors normally do the hiring of. He did it on his own. And there were so many others, so many others. So when I hear the Prime Minister talk like that, and then, you know, with all his authority, and said, talk about transparency. How about accountability of the monies, of the lottery money? Tell the people about William Baptiste and Cindy Henry. Mr. Corey Zufle of Digital Growth. No, Digital Growth is on the list, sir. Do you know a gentleman by the name of Orlando Romain? Please tell the people, sir, what was your connection with Orlando Romain and the 50th anniversary celebration, sir? And then, by the way, you can tell us what you're doing on that, that NLA list. Folks, it's just one after the next, after the next, after the. I can't even bring to you guys all the stuff that comes and meet me, all the stuff that I investigate, that I find out that's going on. I can't. It's just too much to do in a week, one episode a week. But let's move on. And let's play the clip with the political leader and leader of His Majesty's opposition, Mrs. Emmeline Pear, as she had in one of her many speeches, presentations, asking the government to give us an ease, give the people an ease of the rising inflation, the electricity bill, the water bill, the food stuff. So let's hear the leader of the opposition, Mrs. Emmeline Pear.
When you have persons who are paid to defend the NDC making statements like cost of living is up everywhere, we know that. You don't need to educate us on that. What we are saying simply is do what NNP did before to reduce the cost of electricity.
Government will temporarily remove the VAT on electricity consumption for all categories of consumers from August through December 2026.
And we dare you to go a step further. You can do more with the millions of dollars that you are raising.
This statement was made at a meeting on the 14th of March, 2026. Now for months, and it can even be a year and counting, if not 2 years. Some of us been begging the administration for some form of cushion, some form of relief, and was ignored by the administration, let's say by the government. Supporters and surrogates of the NDC defended them, defended their administration. They said this is a worldwide situation. Grenada is not alone. One person on Facebook said, this is not unique to Grenada. Grenada is not alone. One person on Facebook said, this is not unique to Grenada. And I agree, Miss Williams, Miss Ann Williams, I do agree, this is not unique to Grenada. But what is unique to Grenada is the fact that our government was just going along their merry way without thinking of us, and how some of our people are getting on, are carrying on. Some persons that are not able to feed their kids. Some persons that are not able to pay their utility bills anymore. And I'm talking about the necessity, water and electricity, right? And other CARICOM islands, our brothers and sisters, other CARICOM heads, Prime Minister Deacon's colleagues have been cushioning the effects for their citizens. And I'm speaking Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, St. Vincent. I mean, 1 week after the new Prime Minister took his place in St. Vincent, Mr. Friday, Prime Minister Friday, he had all sorts of incentives, including VAT-free shopping days. And so that this week gone there, this is all before our glorious post-cabinet briefing yesterday, right? That was yesterday was July the 22nd, right? And so we had a little conversation, a little on Facebook. And I said those things to her. I said, what is unique about Grenada is that we're the only island where so far that our government was not interested in cushioning the effects for us. In fact, what they did was remove the cushion that they met there when they took office in June of 2022. And there were many more conversations like that one held across the nation, mostly on Facebook, for months now. Well, CARICOM had made reducing the cost of living a regional priority. Although each member government is responsible for implementing its own policies, CARICOM mainly coordinates regional strategies and encourages member states to adopt measures that make food and essential goods more affordable. You see, over the last couple of years, my friends, cost of living has risen to an all-time high. Food prices have doubled and in some cases tripled. As a matter of fact, there are cases where every time you visit the supermarkets or the corner stores, the prices have changed. The prices go up every single time for some items. Now, when the government of Grenada, in the person of the Minister of Finance, Dennis Cornwall, tell us that they've removed VAT across the board on our electricity bill, he is merely telling us that they are removing what they had put back, what they meant when coming into office in June of 2022. For in August, just a mere 2 months or a month, if you check it, August to July, June to July, to 2 months, a mere 2 months after entering office in August of 2022, this NDC administration, led by Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, they've met measures taken by the former administration, the former Keith Mitchell-led administration, to cushion the effects of the electricity bill, the rate of the electricity bill. All government taxes, or VAT, was removed from the electricity rate, right? And further to that, 25% of our non-fuel charge was also removed. The NDC came in office and they put back all of the taxes and they removed the 25% deduction, brought it back to 100%. And what did the Prime Minister say in this clip? He told us why.
Government is not the only shareholder of Rayneau. There are other small shareholders, and I don't know that a small shareholder of a company will agree to the majority shareholder running the company in such a way that the company makes a loss, and the small shareholder is deprived of the benefit of earning a profit on his investment.
The thing is, though, he's saying to us that he don't know that. But yet for all, you choosing to remove the cushions for the ordinary man so the shareholders would not get upset. The shareholders, I'm sure most of them being Grenadians as well, and have to pay the high cost of the electricity bills that are tripling now, right? This, the electricity bill, the cost that went up 3 times since the NDC took office in 2022. This is the 3rd time where people are pulling out their hair from their head because most people are struggling to pay their electricity bill. I've never seen so much complaints on Facebook about anything, not even food, as you've seen about the electricity bill. People are getting disconnected. And guess what? If you can't pay your bill and you get disconnected, you have to pay a reconnection fee as well. So if you can't pay what you owe, how are you paying that plus a reconnection fee? And sometimes, in most cases, I do believe with the electricity bill, when you finally get disconnected, it's because you're owing 2 or maybe sometimes even 3 months. So put that into perspective. When you cannot pay your bill, you get disconnected and you have to pay a reconnection fee added to that. And if you have to ask someone to help you to pay, imagine having to ask someone. And people been asking bills in 700 plus, 800 plus, 900 plus. Ordinary citizens. 4 years later, with elections on the heels, on our heels, I should say, this administration show up with an election gimmick. And as the Prime Minister said, the whole Project Polaris thing that they did a couple months ago, almost 3 months ago, or 4, March it was, that he did it when asked why they had a groundbreaking knowing they're far from construction. His answer was they did it so that persons wouldn't say it's an election gimmick. So he tried to do it away from the calling of the election. Imagine, you spent millions just so people wouldn't say It's an election gimmick. Bushes grown back. Nothing happening when it comes to construction of the new hospital, much less the city. But on the heels of the election, you decide to remove the VAT that you had put back. You met it VAT-free when you came in. The electricity bill had no VAT on it, no taxes. The former administration had removed it. In January of 2022, when I remember a person started, the electricity bill started going up and persons started to talk about how high it was, and the administration removed the taxes and deducted at 25% of the non-fuel charge. I remember that. You put it back. And now you come in as some hero. Spider-Man or one of them, you know, you're sweeping and you're removing the VAT. After you have come with some $10 off after a certain amount of kilowatts or megawatts or some nonsense. Right? And now you come and say across the board. Yes, it was across the board. When you met it, it was across the board. Added to that, we had a promise of 2 days VAT-free shopping. That's what we were told by the Minister of Finance, Dennis Cornwall. From August or in August, it wasn't quite clear. And so when asked by one of the journalists, or media worker rather, at the press conference, asked to be more specific, like which days would they conduct this 2-day VAT-free days. The minister couldn't say. When the prime minister was in the same press conference, he didn't butt in as he normally would and say he seemed like he had no idea as well. How do you come to us after all of this to tell us we're going to get 2 VAT-free days beginning in August, and don't know anything, don't know the days, or couldn't tell us if it was going to be just August alone, like the VAT that was removed on the electricity bill? You said it was from August to December. The VAT-free days, we have no idea when it's going to be. You couldn't say. In a time like this, with a half plan, you come to us with a half plan. You didn't know what days as yet. And they spoke of VAT removing, I guess the VAT-free days is when you would go to the supermarket and not have to pay VAT, and so on. It begins in August. No. You see, friends, the goods on the shelves at the supermarkets and the corner shops in the villages, the hardware stores, the hairdressing salons, the boutiques, the spas, wherever you find bulk of people shopping. We have already paid the VAT on our goods, our stock. We pay VAT on shipping, on freight, and we pay VAT for the customs on the items, on our invoice, we pay VAT. And so you do your markup to suit when you price in your goods, your items. And so we can just say, and I say we because I am in retail. You can't just say, okay, the Prime Minister say, or the Minister of Finance say, there's VAT-free days, and you remove the VAT from your items. You can't do that because you would be putting up a loss. We have to wait for when we get the new items, new products, new grocery to say, and according to what the Prime Minister and the government, the administration put in place, so that we don't pay VAT on freight or on our invoice, and then we can give you, the people, that break. I know that when after burial, and they made an announcement that there was no VAT on material. That was word of mouth. That was mouth open, word jump out. Persons complained that they've been spending thousands of dollars in VAT on materials from the hardware stores. And then at one point, I saw the minister saying in the press conference or somewhere to pay it and then you'd be reimbursed. I would like to know how many persons was reimbursed for paying the VAT up front when they went to purchase material, and that's people from Carriacou and the north, persons who got affected by burial. So we know they're accustomed with the mouth open, word jump out. Just recently, the Prime Minister spoke of a cap on the large, the 100-pound cylinder, cap at $300. That was mouth open, word jump out. It never happened. Persons paid whatever they were charged from the companies. I think it got up to as much as $300 and over $350. It never happened. So we want to know at which point or how we demolish, how we doing that with goods on the shelf as it is now. That VAT is included because we paid VAT. And then when you get new items, the new items, you can say, well, okay, you can, there's no VAT on that, and some would have VAT. How it happening? We're not told. We're not told, and we have to wait, and it might be in August. I mean, here is Minister Cornwall.
And to Mr. Cornwall, you said in August for the VAT-free shopping. What day specifically are you looking at in August?
Okay, so we are in July. Today is July 22nd, and I believe that we have targeted to start the VAT-free day activities in August because it will give us sufficient time to make sure that we can program our systems to accommodate what we intend to do. And it will run until August, September, October. So it's 3 months in the first instance.
But is your question, what is the specific 2 days?
Yes, specific 2 days.
Well, I think it most likely be a Friday and Saturday, but we'll give you more information on that as we have indicated.
It will most likely be a Friday and a Saturday, right? Because she was asking for specific. The Prime Minister made sure because he realized what the young lady was asking, right? He said in August. When in August? So the VAT-free days are for 3 months, right? August, September, and October, the VAT-free days. The Grenlec one is for the taxes on there for 6 months. Well, not 6 months, until December, how much ever that month that is, right? Because we almost finished July. So that's 5 months, right? So the VAT-free days, no, it's for 3 months. Now, if speculations are correct, And this won't even be in office when this thing and finishing up. And so it might as well, because the NMP can put it into place properly as it was, and things going to run smoothly. And you won't come to a press conference, a post-cabinet briefing, and not be ready. What you came for? How you could not be ready about something so important? You come to tell us that we have VAT-free days. You don't know what days, you don't know when it will start, you don't know when. What is that? Novices, incompetence, ineptness. So we have a bit of a problem here when it comes to that. As I said, you have to clear your shelves, you have to clear your shelves in your supermarkets, you have to clear your goods, what you're using, that you already paid VAT on. Because as much as we love the people, we can't afford, well, let me speak for myself, cannot afford to take up the burden of the government of Grenada and just forbid the VAT that I already paid. Can't afford it. So we have to go on until all the products that we have at the salon, when I use up all my products that I paid VAT on already, then I can help out a sister or two. Folks, we in trouble. We in trouble. So the VAT-free days cannot be implemented anytime soon. It can only be implemented once we get our new stock and VAT is exempted from the duties and the freight. Then and only can we reciprocate. So it's not as easy as the minister made it out to be. Made it sound like, it was a 1, 2, 3, although he didn't know what he was talking about. And he knows that it's not as easy as he tried to make it turn out to be. But in an effort to fool us, they come out with these niceties, so to speak. But those are not relief for the poor, my friends. And just hold on. In the next few weeks, we'll hear. Those are nothing but election gimmick, because people and the electricity bill and the food bills when you go to the supermarket, the grocery stores and so, they don't have NNP on them. NNP and NDC and DPM and whoever else, the ones on the fence, the silent majorities, all are we. This one is you, us, what's it say? You, me, and us? Me, you, and us? Yeah, that one is all of us. Right? So that was burning in the air when they hear people complain and they see people complain and everybody putting up their electricity bill on Facebook. So they knew, and they know it will affect them. But it's a case of too little, too late. After 4 years, 4 years of being starved out, now you come in with elections on our heels to say you're removing the VAT for 2, 3 months. Eh? I mean, we thank the administration for the 2 pence safety relief on the electricity bill. But we need more for us to feel anything, which we will not feel until maybe September, October, the end of September, October, according to how the meters are read and how the bills come, the electricity bill come, ain't feeling it anytime soon. As I say, if they what we're hearing materializes, if that's true, and the conch shell blow, we wouldn't even need the 3 months. Right? We won't get the 3 months. And that's probably why they come behind us with this 3 months thing. So we could vote. So as I said, depending on, and according to how the meters have been read, in the words of my friend, Adrian Persuader Thomas, really and truly, you all need to do much more than that. You need to do much more than that. Friends, you guys didn't believe me with the election bit, that it is on our heels. Check this out. According to Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, Deacon Mitchell, in their post-cabinet briefing yesterday, Wednesday, the 22nd of July, 2026, they are getting ready to start works on the Point Celine main road. I think when he came out with the first post-cabinet briefing after 3 years, and he listed all these roads and so. I think that it was from Point Celine to Westerhall Point, that area there. I think that was that set of roads there. And those were some of the ones that were supposed to begin and end by the first quarter, right? And now we into our third quarter, going into our third quarter, and they're about to start on one of our busiest times. That road is already the busiest road in Grenada and will be for the next 5 or so weeks or 6 weeks by the time some people decide when they're leaving. 5 to 6 weeks. And we see it fit. Our administration, our Minister for Infrastructure, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, see it fit to do the rehabilitation, the complete repaving of the roads that was supposed to be done months ago, after they cover back the ditch where the pipes were laid. Months now. And they're now, imagine that, with carnival celebrations on and the persons coming in, both tourists and locals who are coming home for the season. They are going to try and fix the roads in Point Celine. Something wrong with that picture. But a drowning man will grab at his straw going down. It's anything to stay above water. Their desperation. It's sad, but that's the reality. We have the St. George Northeast Road, that Mungay Bolio Road. I'm not sure how far up how far up it reached. Horrible state. Like what was going on in Grandans some months ago. Way past the time for covering back and checking pipe leakage and all of that. So that's BS. Way past that. The time it's on the ground there. Fix that. Fix that. Then there's the Lower Marion. They did most of the ones Upper Marion, they covered back. That piece of road from the Cocoa Road Junction to the junction with Egmont and Calvini, come right out. I mean, there's parts where all you have is a strip, not even an adult bicycle would pass on what we would say asphalt, like maybe a little dollhouse thing. The road is terrible. Fix that. And leave the Porcelain Road for when after the season. Leave it. But no, if election is anytime soon, you're looking for a feel-good moment to say, whoop, we paved the Porcelain Road. For vote? We could eat that. What Andy say? We can't eat road. I wonder if my technician will be able to pull up that for you all to see that clip when the technician to see Mr. Andy saying, we can't eat road.
And what really concerns me, I'm looking every day, is that I'm seeing no effort is being made, no talks, nothing is like we are ignoring that fact. And no measures are being put in place to fight inflation, to fight the high cost of living. No measure at all. All we are seeing is a set of roads being built that was supposed to be constructed or worked on months and years ago. We are seeing roads being built, and I'm saying to myself, boy, can we eat road? Can the single mother who doesn't have a job, can she eat road? You understand? Can the person who is struggling every day, struggling to make ends meet, and now prices are going higher and higher, can they eat road?
That's a fact. That's a fact. So let's try and do the St. George Northeast and the Marion, that's the St. George Southeast roads, and stop the gimmick. Let's ease the pressure on our motorists, and stop the gimmick and the tomfoolery. Folks, on Sunday, the 19th of July, 2026, which was last Sunday, in the AM, I got a message from a member of the Woodford community asking me to please come give them a visit. And that's a visit long overdue. From the inception of this Woodford thing, I was supposed to go, I didn't go. And then it came in the news and it's been out there and I figured, no point. And a couple of weeks ago, I was planning on going. And then there was this news item with the former leader of the NNP and Mr. Ali Gill, the candidate for St. John for the DPM. And so I thought, okay, it's out there, it's in the news. There's no need. Because the truth is, I don't have the time that it takes to get up there. But I thought, and after seeing a video that was posted, was it that same day or the day before? I thought, okay, it's long overdue. I responded and I said I would visit on Monday morning, bright and early. Got a friend of mine to take me who has a 4-wheel vehicle. And we went up. We were out there by between 9:30 for the latest. We were up at Woodford, as I committed to do, and I did, on Monday, the 20th of July, 2026. About 9 a.m. About 9 a.m., yeah. Now, before I take you on my Woodford trip, because that was a hell of a trip, I'll have you know, I'm going to take you back a bit, lest we forget. Or for those of you who had no clue, who have not been following, didn't know about it, here is your chance. Pull up your chair and let's talk about Woodford. We first heard of Rayneau and Woodford because, you know, Rayneau did the Mall in Everett, so we knew of Rayneau. But the Rayneau-Woodford saga, we first heard of it from a gentleman by the name of Mr. Hector. And here are a couple of reminders of what we heard from Mr. Hector concerning Rayneau and Woodford.
I think it is very careless of our administration to even consider the things that's being done in our community. Now, I'm quite baffled as to what the gentleman is saying here. Boshejo is a developed area. You said it, there's school and everything. Move up to Woodford. How can one even think about erecting a plant for asphalt or any other type of plant in the area where this plant is being erected? There are houses located just about, say, 30 or 40 feet away from the plant. And it's not only one house, lots of houses. And over those houses there, we have a community called Brooklyn. And this community is a striving community. Over here, we have schools, churches, and other businesses. And putting a plant there would be a real inconvenience to the people in this community. Barring that, now I will question what is the thinking of this administration when it comes to people's welfare. Already we're suffering from the landfill in Perseverance. The people of this community has to deal with flies in the dry season, and even in the rain season, smoke and the noise. It is unfair to us for anyone to even think about putting more weight on these places. And as a matter of fact, the area where these people are being occupying, right? They're occupying the whole area. They're occupying Halifax Harbor, Perseverance Bay, and the landfill has already polluted those bays. So the people in this area here doesn't have any way to recreate themselves. We does not have playing fields. We does not have centers. And the only place we have is this beach, are these beaches. And when you think about putting a plant there where it's being located, it's going to hamper our agriculture system. Now, I, by looking, would say, see that bad things start happening already. The road, the feeder road that's leading up to the Mondo area, where most of the farmers in this community do their farming, the feeder road has fallen, all because of the construction that those people put in there. And nobody is addressing us. The gentleman there, who should have known so much, would have known that when you're going to do these kind of construction in a community, the community at least should be notified. Nobody came to our community and had any meeting with us. We haven't had a heads up. All we see is the plan going up and everybody guessing. Some people tell us it's a hotel, some people, Nicogram say it's a hotel, some say it's guest houses and all they like. And now the development has started. Mr. Bob, big things start small. And I think this matter has to be looked into seriously because the people is not going to take it lightly.
Let's get the other clip from Mr. Hector right away.
Yes, sir.
In Grenada, right? If you has to burn and put light garbage, you have to light a fire in your backyard. You have to get permission from the authority. Mr. Blanche, excuse me, sir, you're not making sense. The building, the project that you're projecting in Woodford is not on the ground. It's already constructed. So who did the environmental study? Why wasn't that done prior to the building being constructed? Why wasn't say the authority and the construction people, why hadn't they met with the community to find out what would be the impact on that community relative to an asphalt plant coming there? Mr. Bob, this is an asphalt plant. This is not say orange juice, canning orange juice, or a hotel where people eating food. Now, this thing here is going to have a major effect on our community, and it's going to have an effect on children yet unborn. So we don't want it here. It's there, and if we allow it to continue, it's going to develop into something that we wouldn't be able to get rid of. And are they saying that the people in this community has to give up their homes and everything and walk away? Look at the damage that's being done there already. The road fall. People like me who own lands in the Mondo area, for months we won't be able to go up, maybe for years, who knows? Would they ever be able to reconstruct that road for us? We haven't even heard nothing from the people who erecting the plant there. And where the road has fallen is just maybe about 20 feet from where the plant is. And the road fall because because of the construction. Nobody can tell me different. You understand? So I want, and I would like somebody from the authority, because if my minister, the minister for the constituents of St. John's, does not know what's happening, somebody with more authority should call a meeting and tell us what they intend to do. Because the people is not going to take it easy. And the owner of this plant, at least, should do something to give assistance to the farmers up in Mondo because of the road that has fallen. You understand? And this construction should have never started from day one, from Jumpstart.
So there you go. That's Mr. Hector. Mr. Hector, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to you. We end up stuck and literally stuck in the mud and otherwise for about 7 hours. And so when we got out there, it was just about time to get home and get a good bath. Yeah. So, but next time, I'll do you first. I'll come see you first. Now, Mr. Rayneau and his company came to Grenada during the reign of the former administration, winning the bid for the Molyneux land slippage project. Some of you may not know that, but they were here, already here. Their equipment, their material, all of that was already here before the last election. And that's before the NDC took office, of course. When the NDC came into office, they sent Rayneau packing back to St. Lucia. And they thought and they decided, as the minister for MIT said, they have engineers throughout Grenada that can do the work, can do the job. And so they thought they could use whoever engineers they had here to do the job. They sent back Rayneau, and all fell down, literally. The mountain started to come down further where it wasn't coming down before, right? And in that light, they had to redesign and all sorts of things. Part of the setback, right? So they found out quickly that they couldn't do the job. And so they brought back Rayneau. Here's Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell on the Molyneux land slippage.
So we're going to move on to infrastructure and implementation. Now, in your national address, you articulated vast improvements in the implementation rate of government projects. Let us talk, however, about the Molyneux project. What is the implementation rate there? Certainly, it can't be contributing to that rate that you referenced. It does appear that there are some bottlenecks there, which your predecessor, Minister of Infrastructure, also articulated, which you rebutted. But what can we see in respect of further implementation of that project? It does appear that there are some complications there.
Right. So I think, as I indicated, what would have happened is that after the contractor took possession of the site and commenced the demolishing of the buildings and so on, which were on the bottom side, you had a situation where the Nawassa pipe, which runs along that ridge, broke. So that would have caused some disturbance to the site itself. And the site is an unstable site. And I think that's what obviously brought us here in the first place. So that would have created delays because you would have had to obviously cap the pipe and then have the pipe redone. So while that was being done, obviously work would not have continued. So that's the first issue that happened. Now, the second issue that happened is that the Ministry of Infrastructure itself took the decision to, I would use this word, interfere with the slope. Now, the original design that Beston had done did not include doing any work on the slope. They recognized that that was one of the risks. Their approach with it was that the slope itself had not come down, and that they, as much as they recognized that there was a risk that it could come down, they felt that the work could continue on the bottom side, that the road could be rebuilt without the need to have to interfere with the slope. The Ministry of Infrastructure took a different position and, in fact, went onto the slope. Now, obviously, on going on, the slope is unstable, and significant work then would have been done on removing material from the slope. And that obviously would not have been part of the original design. And so once that happened, it meant obviously that you'd have further delays because you are now dealing with the slope, which was not part of the original design, which also would not have been part of the contractor's scope of work, right? Now, as that work went on, we would have had a change in ministerial portfolio. I would have been briefed on the matter. I myself went to the site, and having seen the site, it became quite clear to me that we needed to stabilize the slope. And therefore, we could no longer proceed with the original design, which did not involve treating with the slope. And so what has happened since is that Beston, who was the consultants that did the original design, have been brought back in to look at the slope. They've provided designs that will deal both with the slope as well as the road itself, and as well as we have to work on the bottom slope, because the bottom slope, obviously, where the action started in the first place, that is between the sea and the road itself. So now you have three components, between the sea and the road itself, and the upper slope, right? So we obviously need a comprehensive design that will treat it all three. And in the case of the upper slope, it is not necessarily we are not talking here necessarily concrete works, but we're talking slope stabilization works, right? So we have to stabilize the slope to make sure that it reduces the risk of it coming down. Two, if it does come down, we have to have a road design that could withstand the slope coming down. And so there's been a new design for the road itself. And then three, we obviously need to make sure that we take action to stabilize the bottom slope as well. So as it stands now, The designs have been completed for what we call the foundation of bottom part of the road. We expect that those designs will be approved and that the contractor will be in a position to commence the work on that. There are additional ancillary work pre and post the site itself that the contractor has been doing since. But our expectation is that the contractor would be in a position to get the design works for the foundation aspect so that we can start that. It would likely require more piling of the site. And so obviously the piles and so on would have to be procured for him to be able to do that. And then we'd expect that he can commence in earnest the actual road construction. And so the timeline for completion has moved from the end of the year to the first quarter of 2024. But obviously you have to bear in mind that this period is the rainy season. And so the rain could always cause further delays to it. But certainly I think in coming out of this process, I think we are satisfied that the new design, I think is more comprehensive and perhaps a superior design to the original one, simply because it factors in both the slope at the top, the road itself, and we're also looking at the slope at the bottom.
What about the cost differential to the taxpayer?
Well, there's no question that the costs are going to be increased, because the cost would have increased by one, you had a broken pipe, which then would have caused damage to the site and would have had to relocate it. So that's a cost that would have had to be borne either between the master and the government. Two, the original design did not include doing anything with the slope. And as I've just pointed out, significant excavation took place at the slope to the tune of millions of dollars. And therefore, that is an increased price that we'd have to factor in. And then we would have to pay the consultant additional sums for the redesign. So definitely there would be some costs. And with the fact that we are likely to need more piling of the site, then it would obviously mean that the cost of construction itself will go up. So I can't give you a wrong figure off the top of my head as to what those cost differentials would be, but we certainly have the comparison when we have the final figures in between what the project was originally budgeted to cost and what the new cost would be.
So, according to the Prime Minister, long talk short, they interfered with the slope, with the mountain that they had no right to do. The mountain started to come down, and basically they had to start all over. That's all. All that long talk boils down to that, right? They caused problems, and recognizing that they couldn't do the job, they had to now bring back Rayneau to Grenada to finish or to do the Molyneux Bridge. Them and their equipment. That's another cost, of course, to come back to Grenada. In the meantime, Rayneau acquired 33 acres of lands in the Woodford area. Well, according to Mr. Rayneau, 3 estates: the Woodford estate, the Mondo estate, and the other one, he doesn't remember the name.
The property is 330 acres. It actually comprises the Woodford estate,
Yes.
Mondo, and another estate. It's 3 estates together, right? Which makes up this property.
There you go. You know, sometimes I'm sure y'all think I just make up these things, but that's why we have the tapes and the receipts. And the receipts and the tapes don't lie. The development started a rock quarry, concrete batching plant, and an asphalt plant, and a jetty. Let's not forget the jetty. This started in June of 2024, 2 years ago, without the Planning Development Authority on board, without their approval. Rayneau didn't even apply to the PDA. He did it in St. Lucia, so why not Grenada? Where, of course, he has friends in the highest of places. Mr. Rayneau spoke of him developing a place called Corinth in St. Lucia without planning authority.
I make areas grow. So the Corinth area, I started it back in 1992, and Corinth today is a commercial industrial area now, started by me. I have 4 buildings in the Corinth area, with none of them having planning approval. Why? Because every plan that was approved, that was sent, even the planning officers themselves at the time said to me, Rayneau, I do not know why they don't approve. There's no problem.
So it wasn't approved, and he went on and built. Basically, that's what he's telling us there. And that's what he did, or tried to do, or started to do in Grenada. Somewhere along the way, the Planning Development Authority, under pressure from residents and the locals on a whole, stopped the work that was going on by Rayneau or there in Woodford. All this time, local places of business were being turned down and for going against the Planning Development Authority. And I am in agreement if, according to the planning laws or what they act or, and people go against that, then you suffer the consequences. I have no issue with that. My issue is what's good for the goose has to be good for the gander. I mean, it's plain and simple, right? Here is, let me just jolt your memory, or say, lest we forget, the demolishing of that building on Grand Anne's Beach. And there was also one in La Sagesse, which I don't think we were able to find that clip, but that's the one on Grand Anne's Beach.
Skera said for now, the Ministry of Agriculture will not take any legal action against Frank, but he noted that there are violations relating to the Ministry of Lands and the Planning and Development Authority.
Then, on the GBN Beyond the headline, the then Piero of the authority, Ms. Leslie, was on there with one of her officers in the whole Rayneau Woodford saga. And here is what they had to say on that matter.
Where we have had an outcry from villagers and farmers in the Woodford area in St. John, where there was a quarry factory being developed. There's a roadway that I understand has been built down to a bay, and I'm not sure whether or not there was planning approval. What I do know from the outcry of the villagers is that they have not been consulted. They are also crying for an environmental and social impact assessment to be done because their lives are being disrupted, peace of mind, the noise, as well as their agriculture. What can you share on this one?
The planning been on top of this project since of June last year, when initial construction, the site clearing started. The relevant notices were served around the 5th of June last year. The developer only submitted a drawing to PDA for the project as of November.
So, hold on a second. I would assume that when the warning was served in June, all work ceased until November, when the drawing was submitted and no work has continued while they await approval.
No.
I mean, that seems, from what we described at the top of the show, then this is what ought to have been happening.
Exactly. In that case, it didn't happen that way.
Okay.
It's total defiance. They went ahead, installed the plant. The authority has in its possession the application that they made. No EIA was even submitted to the authority.
So is there an application to build a plant that exists?
No application to build a plant because it was ongoing. When the officer went on site in June, the project already commenced.
Right.
Without PDA permission. She went ahead and served the relevant notices.
Right.
They still went ahead and continued construction.
Right.
Installation, not construction. And only did a submission in November.
So, and that's what I'm asking. So the PDA has a submission for approval for a plant that exists.
Yes.
Okay.
It is called, sometimes that happens, where a person would build out of compliance, and when we go to them, they within the 28 days, they can actually submit what we call as-built drawings, and once they do that within the 28 days, typically, if it's a small or residential, we may still go ahead and do the approval. However, this particular project, it's a huge project. It does have a lot of environmental concerns and implications, and it's really on our radar right now. And I hope they're listening, because we are coming for them. They have been defiant in every sense of the word. They ignore every instruction, everything that we have done so far. And the bottom line is that sometimes we might be accused of being a little bit slow to act. But when our communities are under attack, and I see that personally, I see that as an attack on our community. There has been a lot of outcry. The eyes of the public are on this project. We are very concerned. And we are not saying that the project is not a good project, but we don't know, because there has not been any environmental social impact assessment. We are talking about rivers. There are nearby rivers. I hear it is an asphalt plant. Right. We're talking about an area where people have been doing sustainable agriculture for many years. Like I say, this project has been ongoing for quite some time, I think, even prior to us becoming an authority, or around shortly thereafter.
No, just started last year.
They started last year. They started last year. And we cannot sit here and not take any responsibility for not acting with speed and urgency on this matter. But like I say, we are not everywhere. We're people. It is brought to our attention.
But this is a larger structure, albeit hidden, a larger structure than the concrete structure on Grandlands Beach.
Absolutely.
The concrete structure is down.
Absolutely.
But the plant is still up.
Absolutely.
What empowers individuals?
We prefer to go to court on this matter simply because they could afford to pay it. They're a big organization. They've been openly defiant. We rather take them to court. According to our act, they can be charged up to $50,000.
$50,000 is not much.
$50,000 may not be much in the context, but like I say, for us to literally demolish a structure like that, where there might be already be machinery and all that kind of thing, we have to use good judgment. And like I say, a project like this, it takes a collaborative effort. So our partners in lands, our partners in solid waste, our partners in health, we all police, we all collaborate, and we sit at the table and come up with the best approach. But like I say, our radar is definitely on that project, and we are.
Richie,
we coming for them, she said. I don't know when they went, but they in reach, because Rayneau continued, right? I remember after seeing what happened on Grandlands Beach, I called the Planning Development Authority to find out because you heard it, they preferred to take Rayneau to court just to get a $50,000. No, the Grandlands one, Okay, he might not have had machinery, but he had his little things in there and money spent. It was removed. It was bulldozed. Now, Rayneau. So I asked, when I called the Planning Development Authority, I asked, after court and Mr. Rayneau pay his due, whatever he was charged, what happens next? And then I was told, well, everything goes back to normal. Mr. Rayneau continue with his life and his project like nothing happened. Now, as I said before, you see, that has caused all kind of we have heard, or we have not heard, should I say, of any case with Rayneau and the government of Grenada or the Planning Development Authority. We don't know if they went to court and had to pay $5,000, much less $50,000. But the work continued, right? And it's all sorts of things going on up there, as I see for my own self. Something building here, something went up there already, something went up there, different things happening. And I was also told by the villagers that permission was eventually granted for 2 of the projects, so to speak, if you want to call it that. But all sorts of little things are being built separately, right? And I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. So we come in for them. Don't know if they ever got there. Then on GBM Beyond the Headlines, that same episode, the Port Highway came up, because remember, those times there, the Port Highway was in the news a lot, and they were supposed to be demolishing those shacks there as well, that I saw. And the Attorney General and the Minister for MIT, the implementation was involved. And so the question was asked, so what about Port Highway? No. And here's what the gentleman had to say.
Let's have a conversation on Port Highway. Last year, and we both had the Prime Minister warning against the ghettoization of our country in general. We had the Minister of MIT and I believe the Attorney General, who was the candidate for the town of St. George for the National Democratic Congress, speaking of the importance to clean up Port Highway.
Correct.
There was a time frame published. Nothing has happened.
Right.
Why?
This I can speak to. All the information was gathered because we did the entire survey of the area. So we mapped the area out correctly, get everybody's names, addresses, the relevant notices were served. Then we hit a snag after that because we had a bottleneck. For instance, MIT was looking to house them somewhere else before we clean up the site. And that is where the problem came. So not to say that we forgot what was happening on Port Authority or Port Highway. At the current construct, the Port Highway cannot exist what it is now. For instance, the exit from the port is in a mess. God forbid something happens and you have to disembark the port. Where you go next? The structure that is there is really creating a serious traffic hazard and also an issue with the port. So we haven't forgotten the people by the port. Just happened that we have to use a different strategy.
But shouldn't MIT be served notice that you will be acting and therefore they need to act?
Yes, MIT is aware.
No, I'm not saying aware. I'm asking whether MIT should be served notice, because if this is 1 year and counting, and then it will be 2 years, and it will be 3 years, and we all know how Grenada would operate, and then we're into an election cycle, so nobody wants to touch anybody because we're into elections. That is how things has gone. So what can the PDA do to speed up the work of MIT in order to ensure the safety, port, the health and well-being of the population, both in terms of the vending as well as the pressure, blood pressure, because traversing that area, 11:30, 12 o'clock, lunchtime in the day, is problematic, right? What can the PDA do to speed up the work of MIT to ensure that there is compliance? Because the vendors will say they are waiting on MIT, and MIT is government, PDA is government, so they're waiting on government.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Mr. Dow. I know I'm not supposed to be asking you questions,
no problem.
But do you feel as if the government or MIT has an obligation to find alternative accommodation for all of the people on the port? I do not either. I do not either. And the planning, listen, the planning.
Imagine I go and squat on somebody's land and say, unless you find land for me, I'm here.
Exactly.
So I do not believe so.
And this is what we are confronted with, that belief that the government is somehow, our planning is somehow responsible for relocating persons who they were told in many cases, not in all cases, I wouldn't say that at all, but in many cases that you ought not to be there. We have seen that over the last couple of carnivals, right, all of these little structures go up and never come down. And right now they're literally almost up to the gate of the college.
Correct.
And what can we do? I can tell you that the Planning Act is very strong. And if we are to use the full extent of the act, the power that the planning authority has, there is going to be a lot of concerns. But the public, and as I said it earlier, the people of Grenada has to take a decision. Listen, do you want us to be a cleaner, nicer, more well-structured community? Is that what we want for ourselves, or are we going to continue to make excuses for persons that break the law? And the worst argument is the bread and butter. The bread and butter.
And again, Ms. Leslie, I agree with you. However, what good for the goose have to be good for the gander. So we can't be licking down our ordinary people little thing that, yes, that they trying to get some bread and butter with for their kids and family, yeah, and leave the big short man there with he come from where he come from and breaking all the laws, boasting that he broke the laws in St. Lucia. And so I went to St. Vincent and did some of that. And then come to Grenada to do it too, and he got away with it. How fair is that? How fair is that? And so, Mr. Dow, you were correct that one thing led to a next, and it was this and it was that, and here we are. It's election time. And I'm guessing MIT never found a place to relocate them because they're still there. I even heard that recently there were people living in some of those booths on Port Highway, where they're bathing, where their bathrooms to use to excrete, where they're running water, right? So this is what is happening. And how do you tell them they have to move when you can't control Mr. Rayneau, who is a foreigner? Up in Woodford, we were told by the Indian and the St. Lucian separately, what we doing here? This is their property, their own, and we have no right here. Right? But we'll come to that hopefully, if I didn't run out of time. But we got to take this thing step by step. Now, in December of 2025, Rayneau got the nod from the PDA to continue work. Was there ever a court case? If there was, we would have known, or we would like to know. Nonetheless, work continued on the project, This after the Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure gave the go-ahead to Rayneau to continue work on the asphalt plant and the jetty. Now, as we speak, there's a concrete batching plant and construction going on, as I said, in different areas. An asphalt plant was already constructed or put up or bolted up, and other buildings are being constructed. There's a video that I took myself of the construction, the ongoing construction on the Rayneau site. This is the other side of the bridge. Look at where the bridge is, the piece of the bridge is. Look at that there. And the movement away from the road. It's leaning. It's broken as well. Yeah. And there is the Rayneau. Now there's a building going up there where you see that gentleman was standing on the top of that building. It's not the asphalt plant, it's not the concrete batchment plant, but there's something going on there. And it has more than one level, you can see, or what we say, more than one story. You can see, right? Now, what makes Mr. Rayneau tick?
Who may not know you, what makes you tick? And what really got you into the business of construction work, infrastructural development, and things like that?
Right, but first of all, I must thank people like yourself, Ms. Kalis Jafaria, and the various people who have done a fantastic job marketing and advertising me throughout Grenada and the world.
Well, I don't think that's our job of marketing you, but okay.
I mean, maybe that's not your job because I'm not paying you for it.
No, of course not.
But I must say that it has turned out excellent for me. So I moved into Grenada, and I moved in very quietly and got all that attention from the Grenadians, the reporters, and the various people. And I must use this opportunity to thank them for what they have done. What makes me tick was the question that you ask.
Yes, sir.
And basically, this is a bad habit. So, you know, like people drink and they leave work on an afternoon and go to the bar and drink. People just like to relax. I like to work. So I started off very, very young working, because I didn't have a choice. I didn't come from one of those families who made it available where you could live a life that you wanted. And only what really happened after that was, because I continued working, I developed a bad habit, and I could not leave that bad habit. So at 32, I retired. I could have retired at 32, and then I started back again. And then at 40, I decided, you know what, maybe I should just leave this work and start enjoying life. But then I realized I could not enjoy anything else but work. And, you know, whenever I see opportunity, I jump on the opportunity and just take advantage of it, whatever opportunities exist. I'm in the region, so I'm from St. Lucia. I moved into Dominica, I moved into Antigua, I moved into Guyana, I moved into the other islands, St. Vincent. But one of the things is, the reason I see opportunity in our region is because people of our region are very laid back. And, you know, they spend a lot of time complaining and looking for excuses, while there are so many opportunities available right in front of them. And I just look at those opportunities and take advantage of it. And this is what really drives me. So you'll see me down in the trenches like any laborer will be, even at my stage, at my age. I will be down in the trenches. I use shovel still, and I use the pen as well. So this is just who I am, and this is how I am.
Dr. Bob, he's not paying you, but I believe you should speak for yourself. Rayneau spoke of the need to expand it into concrete and asphalt.
Talk about the demand of work that exists in Grenada that has caused you to expand in the range of work that you're currently doing.
All right, so let's start off. Yes, I came into Grenada. I bidded on the Molyneux job. I was awarded the job. I started it. What causes my expansion? What causes my expansion is the need. When there's a need, I see it and I go for it. So we started off and we realized that getting concrete in Grenada was not as easy as we thought it would have been. So we brought in a concrete plant, and we brought in concrete trucks, we brought in concrete pump, right? Not that concrete is not available, but it's not available when you want it. So sometimes we have to work 3 days a week. We have to schedule to get concrete. You know, in developing, doing a project, this costs a lot, and you cannot be as efficient as you want to be. That is how I got into concrete. When we got into the end of the project, where we were supposed to have gotten asphalt, just a little bit of asphalt to regulate the road to prevent the dust, it was almost impossible to get asphalt from the supplier.
And when you say the road, you're talking about the Molyneux Road now?
Molyneux road,
Yes,
right?
please.
So it was almost impossible to get it. It was always a story and always a story. And then I just decided, you see this thing? I will just bring in my asphalt plant. So I asked for permission because there was a problem to bring in the asphalt plant, and I got permission to bring in a mobile asphalt plant that I had moved from St. Lucia to Dominica, and then I set up another plant in Dominica, and I moved that mobile one into Grenada. And this is how I came in to do asphalt. It was not because it was available and I did not choose to take it. It was not available at the time. So I moved into asphalt.
The thing is, the plants were brought into Grenada basically after the fact, when the Molyneux job was more or less completed. In fact, Rayneau brought in a whole asphalt plant, and the asphalt work in Molyneux is yet to be finished. It's still what they told us, that they were going to open the road for vehicular traffic that Christmas season in 2004, right? To ease up on the Mount Morris traffic. We are still waiting for the finish, for the finishing touches, right? After a long, drawn-out wait, and travelers becoming tired of the Mount Morris detour route, that the Christmas season of 2024, they will allow motoring traffic on the bridge just for the season and come back to finish up the project. No, even with Rayneau having its own asphalt and concrete plant and traversing back and forth several times per day in that area and actually contributing to the dilapidation of that unfinished Molyneux project. If you look, you'd see photos of the bridge and the boat ends. And also, you would have seen videos of what it looks like today. The concrete already needs redoing, the concrete part. And of course, the two ends where the asphalt was supposed to go never did. It's full of potholes. And well, it's not finished. It never looked finished because it's not finished. Remember, the work stopped in late November 2024, 1 year and 7 months ago. Now, Rayneau saw the need to expand after the Molyneux land slippage rehabilitation project was substantially finished and open to vehicular traffic in late November 2024. By then, major construction and asphalting work was conducted. So Rayneau must have known something the rest of us didn't know about. Like the new model, finance, design, build, and maintain model, the higher purchasing of our infrastructure that Rayneau is a part of, costing us 3 times and 4 times as much what it would have cost our contractors ordinarily, or even a foreign contractor. Using local contractors would have cost us so much less. Like the Willis Road project, for instance. Hanover Construction Company Limited was contracted to do the Willis Road, which they started. That contract was estimated at $8,640,154.94. Hanover had already spent over $3 million on that job, on pub walls, driveways, walkways, retaining walls, sidewalks, heavy earthworks, surveying, etc. Rayneau is now awarded the contract to complete the job. And if you're standing, sit down, hold your head, get your pills, your high blood pressure pill or your heart pill, because Rayneau is now receiving $22 million for the same job that Hanover was going to pay $8.6 million for, and they already had spent in excess of $3 million. So the new hire purchase contract is costing the taxpayers and the people of Grenada an extra $13,359,845.10, an almost 300% increased cost to us, the taxpayers and people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. The contract went from $5.6 million because $3 million was already spent from the $8.6 million to $22 million. How is that possible? What is really going on here? with the government of Grenada and Rayneau. Calco and Namalco, they're in the mix as well. Calco and Namalco, those two Trinidadian companies, that is barred from working for the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Calco cannot work in Guyana anymore. They were put out of Guyana. I think Namalco can work there if they're subcontracted. And up till now, Rayneau cannot finish the Molyneux Bridge. They are on island. They have their own concrete batching plant and their own asphalt plant. Now, here is the managing director or CEO, I'm not sure which one he carries, of CCCCI, Nelson Louison, on the unfinished Molyneux Bridge.
Now, look at what happened. The defects liability for this road, they only paved one layer. The defects liability for this road has come and gone. The road is potholed with concrete filling up pothole. Who's guarding the garden? Who is it that brings Mr. Rayneau to compliance? A defects liability over the second layer is not done. The road is like an old country road. Where are we? How did we get there?
Now here is Rayneau. On him meaning Rayneau, Calco, and the government of Grenada, and asphalt.
There's a company called Calco who entered Grenada as well. Calco has been given a contract to do a road. I do not know where that road is, but they came to us for asphalt. And we did not hesitate to give them asphalt. And it is only after providing asphalt for a little while to them, I asked the question, why is it that you chose to come to us when there was another supplier that we're using? And the answer was the same, because they cannot get it when they want, and they almost have to beg for the service. I learned after that my price was significantly less than the other asphalt supplier. So in this case, I managed to get copies of invoices to only realize that asphalt sold to them was $994.75 per ton. And I'm selling asphalt at $776.25 per ton, which makes it $218.50 per ton less. So while I was given a better product, a service beyond expectation, my price was $218.50 less per ton. I supplied asphalt to them from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the nighttime, without hesitation, without a problem. They will tell you that because of me, their project was able to happen. So, I mean, I think we passed it all because we were supposed to have started from why I put up the asphalt and so on. But those are the benefits of me setting up the plant. And the reason why I set it up is because it was not available.
Now, I think I did a program recently where I said to you guys, those who assemble resemble. When Mr. Dolan decided to lie about Project 500 and said it wasn't 500 houses a year, but it was 500 period. And Mr. Rayneau was found in many lies, more than one. Now, he said he saw receipts with the different prices of the asphalt, but he didn't work with his receipts. No, he said his asphalt is $218,000.05 cheaper or less than the other asphalt on the island. No, Rayneau is saying he did not know where the road Calco was doing. He didn't know where the road was, but he was supplying asphalt for Calco to do the road. Now, another thing he said, he was proud to announce how early he started and how late he finished. I believe it was 7 in the morning. I made a note, 7 in the morning, right, to 10 in the evening, right? Agreeing there with the people of the area when they said they have no rest, even at nights with the big trucks. And you hear these trucks when they're passing, they're shaking the ground. And that's and don't even talk about when they blow their horns, right? They're starting, for them to start to load trucks at 7, then they're there way before that, right? And he is saying, proudly saying, how early they start and how late they finish. So the people, and this is not just for the people in the immediate area, you know, Woodford. This is all of from Woodford, go down to the western side, come all the way down to St. George's, and up the eastern side to the St. David's Secondary School project. This driving the trucks and the disturbance. So the noise pollution, it's not just the dust pollution, but the noise pollution. Now, he didn't know where Calco was building the road. We got that there clear. Another interesting factor to note, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Minister, of Agriculture, brother, negotiated on behalf of Calco. Again, conflict of interest. Now, as for the cost of the asphalt, it is clear that Rayneau lied because receipts don't lie. And the managing director of CCCCI, Nelson Lewison, he brought his receipts to show. According to Mr. Lewison, his price is way lower than Rayneau's and not at all close to what Rayneau quoted. Here's Mr. Lewison.
So, Mr. Lewison, I want you to react to that. Is there anything there that, shall we say, was a misrepresentation of the relationship that you have in respect of asphalt supply?
Yes.
And asphalt quality.
Yeah, well, secondly, let me start there and we go to Mr. Rayneau and his comment.
Yes, sir.
When Mr. Rayneau says that he could not get asphalt and so forth in Grenada, that is a total lie. But if we come quickly to the question of the price that Mr. Rayneau is talking about, I could ask you to pull up, I sent you, pull up government invoice. The last time we sold asphalt to government, it was $6.85. Right? That's the last time. Pull up the invoices. The facts is there.
Yes, I'm looking at it now.
Right?
Yes.
And as you pull up this invoice, let's go to Mr. Rayneau invoice. The last time we sold asphalt to Mr. Rayneau was $6.71. Right? Pull up Mr. Rayneau invoice.
Yes, we're just having some, yes. But go ahead, I'm pulling up the invoice now, but I want you to continue.
The last time we sold to government was $6.85, and the last time to Mr. Rayneau was $671.93. Pull up those invoice. So that is a blatant lie, what Mr. Rayneau is talking about. Right? And what I'm telling you, Mr. Rayneau had no intention of buying asphalt from us. None.
Okay. So there was no intention to get, okay, the invoice is loading here. Just, I have a My device is not being cooperative with me today. Just hold on, just bear with me 1 second there. So let me go ahead and pull up
So
that
while we
invoice
do
there.
that, would you talk about the money?
Yes, yes.
Because when the millionaire job that Mr. Rayneau was doing, Mr. Rayneau held on to the job and blocked the road for months and did not open the road. And the only
Okay, sorry, we have the invoice here
Okay.
now, sir, and then we'll go on to Marlon.
Yes.
This is the invoice in question, yes?
Gas government, yes, 665.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so last time we sold the government.
Okay.
Right?
And
that's how we
this
took
is dated on the 17th of November 2025. Invoice 586. Yes.
That's the last time the government bought asphalt from us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the price. And let me come on to Mr. Rayneau is all about maximization of profit. He had no intention to buy no asphalt, no concrete, nothing from nobody. Right? So let me deal with the Mr. Rayneau on the money issue.
Yes.
There was an extreme weather situation in Grenada in November. And that's the only reason why. You may recall that there was a lot of landslides over the Mount Morris bypass road. There was floods in Grenada. In fact, one of the most painful things about this is that we lost a school teacher, a parents, the wife of an outstanding fisherman from Piki Magnet.
Yeah, in Woodlands, yeah.
In Woodlands.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that extra weather event, the masses demanded that the road must open, the people in the Western Coast. And when they demanded the road was open, unpaved. And it was difficult for a lot of people, even though unpaved. The CQ, right? The CQ, Mr. Kevin Branch called me on the Thursday night. The event happened Tuesday, Wednesday. He called me, say, Mr. Louison, Mr. Rayneau asphalt plant is not here yet. That's his words to me. And cannot pave the road. I want you to go and pave the road for me. Right? That's the Thursday night. And he then told me he would give Mr. Rayneau the money to pay me. That's where we are. Right? And at that time, his request was to pave a 70 millimeter thickness layer of asphalt. And it had to be paved in 2 layers, a 40 millimeter and a 30 millimeter. Mr. Rayneau came and paid for the 30 millimeter of asphalt, right, on a Saturday morning. Around after 7 in the morning, we opened our office to receive the payment. Because a check. We don't normally do that. We prefer to clear. However, because of the situation, we started to pay on the same Saturday. Even not sure whether our money is guaranteed or not. We started to pay. We paid Saturday, Sunday in the rain. Right? And that is how, right? This road was paid. He had no intention. Now, look at what happened.
Mr. Rayneau said he couldn't get asphalt in Grenada. Mr. Louison said that's a lie. Now, where did the asphalt come from that built and renovated our roads before Rayneau got here? If we had no asphalt and concrete. And another thing, I am guessing Talco did not disclose to Rayneau the fact that they were owing CCCCI for asphalt and that they had issued a bounce check to CCCCI in the amount of $198,950. And if you look on your screen, you see a copy of that bounce check. And as a result, they were denied further order from the company. Right? Now, here's Mr. Louison on the bounce check. from Calco.
No, while we're on that, Mr. Bob, we must go on to the Calco matter, right?
Yes, because that was also raised, the Calco question was raised as well.
Because you asked me about the question of finance bill. So Calco came in here on a finance bill program. And on that program, Mr. Garth Andrews came into our office, said that he is the brother of the Minister of Agriculture, Lennox Andrews. That's what he says. I give him records on that, right? But he's the brother of the Minister of Agriculture. So he came in there, and that's his reference. So he started a job in Granican, work a job that was given to him, and he wanted to aggregate and asphalt and so forth to be credited. Well, we believe in his professional, he's the brother of the minister. Let's give him a chance of credit, but on the basis of a credit agreement. After several weeks of not signing the credit agreement, but collecting the material, asphalt and so forth, right? He then told us they have no asset in Grenada, they're not registered, so they could not sign a credit agreement. We then agreed that, okay, they'll get a bank guarantee. Past 30 days, 40 days, he could not get a bank guarantee. That's a red flag. You come here, finance bill, and you cannot get a bank guarantee. That's a red flag. So when you could not get the bank guarantee, we had to stop the credit, at which time he owed us hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And we said, okay, going forward, you have to pay. You have to pay us in advance.
There you go. Now, the thing is, all of these contracts dishing out to these foreign companies, we have nothing much to get from it. First of all, the government has bypassed the procurement law that they amended as soon as they came into office, right? Changing the threshold from 15,000 to 100,000. So the bidding process now starts at 100,000. And even then, there's no bidding for these people. They're just Rayneau and Calco and Namalco. They're just receiving contracts. I think it's called sole sourcing, right? Here is Mr. Nelson Lewis on no bidding.
This finance bill, that is something, again, and I don't want to go down into an academic wormhole on it, but that has to go through a bidding process, right? So in other words,
no, Mr. Bob, let me help you.
It does not go through a bidding process.
No bidding, that is direct award. And the unfortunate thing about this is that you have companies who have won award, including ourselves, and have not been handed award yet. There should be what you call a public procurement process. And Grenada, let me help you here, and for those who don't know, Grenada is one of the very few countries that have a procurement law. We don't have SRSM. We have a law.
Right, because there is a the tenders board, right? I mean, in my layman's understanding of it,
it's
right?
a procurement board, you call it.
Yeah, well, the procurement board. Back in the day, they called it the tenders board during public works time. But that's what from my days in the Grenadian Voice, I remember hearing a lot about the tenders board. But so, what is the implication of not going through that rigorous, or what should be a rigorous tendering process? I don't know how rigorous the tendering process is, where you have an independent peer review on what a contractor is going to be submitting to do the work.
Mr. Bob, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not a lawyer. So the legal fraternity have to look at what is happening. Because how is it, for example, I could tell you this, Mr. Bob, suddenly no local contractors could get a World Bank or CDB job. You have city fence in the countryside, you have bridges, and the local contractors, all your clock.
Which is true. We are dealing with foreigners now because our infrastructure is being hire purchased to them. As for the bar, the legal fraternity, the bar association, we have no idea. I did a program with Mr. Council Cajetan Hood, and the government, the prime minister, his Polaris lead, the attorney general, the registrar, all lawyers, has broken every act and law in Grenada. You name them, they've broken them with this asset bank, Grenada Asset Bank Company. And I have not heard nothing from another lawyer. But then the president of the president they call him, of the Bar Association, he is the chairman of the Transport Commission under Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. That's one of his ministry. And he's also a member of the CBI board, also under Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. I say no more and I move on. When asked about his quarry, that is Mr. Louison, when asked about his quarry in the Mount Hatman area and its functions affecting the lives and livelihoods of the residents in that area, this is what he had to say.
This is a WhatsApp question too here, which again dovetails with the comment here. In terms of your quarry business, the question posed on WhatsApp is, in terms of your quarry business, did you get an EIA to do the work, and what did you also receive any pushback from residents in I believe your quarry is in Mount Hatman, in respect of issues of dust and so on? Is that an issue that emerged for you?
We have an EIA, and this quarry has been going on for many, many, many years. But let me say this about our quarry. In the last 4 years, right, we have had some pushback, some residents. I like to be a fair person, right? Some gusts, the wing factor. So what have we done? We have invested in modern machinery. Millions of dollars we spend to buy what you call movable crushing plants that are concealed and show. And you could ask anybody in the area, what difference did it make, right? We moved from where we were crushing at a high point, right? And we moved down to a very low point where the wind factor is much less. But let's face an honest reality. This quarry has been long before residents was in the area. Long before residents was in the area. Residents came and make a quarry here, right? So not because of that situation, we have to display any kind of arrogance. We have to work with the residents. And in working with the residents, even though they came there, we have to say that this quarry has been there over 50 years, right? But yet, we still have to be mindful of people. I give you one example.
Ironically, in a letter dated July 2026, addressed to the managing director of CCCCI from the law firm Mitchells & Co., asking to shut down the plant because it's affecting the health of one of their clients living in the area, Mr. Leroy Nichols, a client of Mitchell & Co. Now, because of the system we're using today, it's not very easy to put up a lot of stuff. However, I would say try to put up that letter to on the channel so that you guys can view it. It's in an effort of time. I cannot read any of it to you. It's 3 pages, right? But funny how months ago, I heard Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell in one of his presentations somewhere spoke out in public on that asphalt plant and threatening or mentioning that it might have to close down because of where it is and how it's affecting persons in the area. The question is, though, why did the complaints of the residents of the Woodford area fall on deaf ears? And Rayneau is going ahead with his quarry, asphalt plant, concrete batching plant, jetty, and God knows whatever else. He is constructing in that area, right? And the people up there don't complain. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell gave Rayneau the go-ahead to put up their asphalt plant without an EIA study or any other study for that matter, even after the complaints and protests of the Woodford villagers. They have injunction. They have some legal thing going on now. I'll put up some of those. Are they not humans as well? Doesn't their lives matter? Maybe Mr. Hector and Miss Henry and the other villagers of Woodford, their lives do not matter. Or do they need to hire Mitchells and Co? But then Mitchell of Mitchells and Co gave the okay to Rayneau to put up an asphalt plant at Woodford in St. John's. And I'm guessing the lives of the people of Woodford and St. John's do not matter. But here is Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell giving Rayneau the okay, check in, to go ahead without an EIA.
Good morning. I'm with GBN. My name is Deidre Seeley. On the subject of the asphalt, in recent weeks, there have been some publications regarding the lack of an environmental impact assessment with regard to Rayneau's asphalt plant. From what I saw, there was basically approval was given without that assessment being done. Can you speak to that and how you might, if it is true, how you might mitigate issues like that with the other asphalt plants?
So I think, and I assume you're speaking about in Woodford. Sorry, I want to clarify, you're speaking about Woodford. Okay. All right, so we have to balance environmental impact assessments with the hard reality on the ground. And ideally, in each case where development should take place, the law, particularly for certain areas, if you're dealing with the coastal areas, environmentally sensitive areas, you want an environmental impact assessment to be done. Like so many other things in Grenada, we have capacity limitations. There are very few people available to do environmental impact assessments. And oftentimes, experience, it takes forever to get it done. I am aware that the contractor actually sought to and retained someone here to do an environmental impact assessment. I don't think they've actually gotten the report, right? And as the minister responsible for infrastructure and under whose umbrella portfolio PDA also plans, I have to make a decision as to whether we simply wait forever to get this environmental impact assessment report, or whether, given the fact that in some instances we are facing almost national emergencies if we don't repair and renovate the roads and fix the bridges, whether in those circumstances I should not proceed to authorize for the commencement of the milling and the creation of the asphalt, obviously while trying to take steps to make sure that we can mitigate any potential fallout. I'm satisfied, based on the specifications of the plant, that it's an ultra-modern plant that has built-in environmental impact mitigation measures. And in those circumstances, because of the crisis, frankly, we're facing in terms of the state of the roads, would have proceeded to approve for the plant to, in fact, start operations pending this environmental impact assessment report.
You intentionally broke the law, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. It's not the first time, not the second time, not the third time. You intentionally broke the law. Has Rayneau, as given his reason for moving into asphalt?
I mean, I think we passed it all because we were supposed to have started from why I put up the asphalt and so on. But those are the benefits of me setting up the plant. And the reason why I set it up is because it was not available. Now I can supply as many people as they want with asphalt without a problem, because we have been doing it. Government continues to get asphalt, and government now, we started off giving them the asphalt at 9 a.m. and we moved to give it to them at 8 a.m. We are now giving to them at 7 a.m. So trucks line up, get into my plant 6:30, and by 6:35, 6:40, we are loading trucks and they're out. Most times, with loading all of the trucks, by 9:30, everybody is gone. We have scenarios where the first truck or the first few trucks who left the plant are back at my plant, parked on the road, already waiting for the next day because they are done. So before 9:30, we have trucks coming back and parked on the road, waiting for the next day to move. So this is the reason why I moved into the asphalt.
So we never used asphalt in Grenada before Rayneau. What did we build our roads with? Clay? And our bridges, did we use clay? Not sure if you realize Rayneau never addressed the noise pollution part, the question on noise pollution, even though he was asked about it. People in general, from Woodford, as I said, down the western side, all up the east to the St. David's Secondary School project, are complaining of the noise with these trucks all day and all night. Now, our local truckmen have not been able to eat a piece of that pie because Rayneau brought in all they needed, all trucks, all their heavy equipment, their drivers, their machine operators. Here is his rationale for the Woodford site as the place for setting up his asphalt plant. All the activities is in the city. So let us kill out the people in the rural Woodford area. And that's my explanation of what he said, really. Folks, the Mundo area, which is in boundary with the Rayneau plant, there are residents living in that area. And here is a video of, you can see, I mean, a few feet away from the road, the slippage, the breakage, all of that, is that Rayneau project, where they did the excavating of course and removal of the boulders from the area, from the side of the road. And so you'd see the boulders on their plan. He's planning to ship boulders away. That's why they need the jetty across the street down the bay, right? Here's that video.
This is the other side of the bridge. Look at where the bridge is, the piece of the bridge is. Look at that there. And the movement away from the road. It's leaning. It's broken as well. Yeah. And there is the Rayneau.
Now, folks, we are out of time, but I just want to finish up today with this clip of the Prime Minister in the post-cabinet briefing yesterday when asked about the broken road I have much more footage to show you of this road and the breakage. And then I have to take you down to the bay. I have to take you to where we got stuck and remain on that property for 7 hours without any help from the Rayneau group, who was right there, and eventually who blocked us in. But so we'll continue this next week. But I have to show you this, this video from Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell when he was questioned on the state of the roads, because right now it's impossible. You cannot pass there. You cannot drive there for sure. And people walking in tracks on the side because there's some huge cracks. The road is broken in 3 or 4 different places, really badly. Persons had to move out of their homes up there in Munda. So here is Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell as he explains what's taking place up there in Munda.
The government issued a general development order to allow Rayneau to operate in Woodford without submitting an environmental and social impact assessment. As the company's operations have continued, the Woodford Road has deteriorated significantly. Is there any independent investigation into the company's impact on the community, and what actions will be taken to address the community concerns or repair damaged infrastructure?
You said Woodford, so I want to be clear. I'm not aware that the Woodford Road has deteriorated or impacted as a result of the operations of Rayneau. I am aware, however, because I've seen social media posts where people have posted the Mongdo Road, which has been a road that has been deteriorating and in a poor and dilapidated condition for a significant period of time that predates our government and that predates Rayneau being in the area. Second, Rayneau's businesses are located before the Mongdo Road, not after. And specifically the bridge that I think people are showing on social media. So again, I can't speak to sometimes when people want to be mischievous about the issue, but certainly the Mongdo Road does need attention. It has nothing to do with Rayneau. It is a road that in any event was deteriorating. I think there is, in fact, as we speak, a contract for a retaining wall on some parts of the road to be done, which may help with some of the challenges we face here. But it has not, as I said, I can't speak to the Woodford because I'm not aware of any issues with Woodford itself. But in terms of the Mongdo Road, as I said, the state of the road predated the presence of Rayneau there. And from where we sit, we have not seen any indication that one has anything to do with the other.
Where you sit in that press conference, I wonder if the Prime Minister ever been to Munda Road, because Munda Road is in boundary. I don't know what he meant by before, the plant is before Munda Road. It is in boundary. As a matter of fact, the same piece of bridge, side of the bridge that he's speaking of, that I showed you, where it fell, it fell into Rayneau's property, where they move away the boulders and from the soil and have them all piled up there getting ready to ship when they build a jetty. It's in boundary with, and where the road is not broken, there's no deterioration, none. So what the Prime Minister is speaking there are lies. Or maybe Rayneau told him these stories, but go for yourself. You, the Minister of Infrastructure. Go and see what the people are talking about. Don't just talk about what you see in social media. I can tell you what I saw. They had to put up temporary electrical pole in Rayneau's property. The pole went, the whole thing. You can see where the excavation took place. Just the excavation just as up in Cloget. Folks, there's much more for you to see. But I'll take it to you next week. This is a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, trying to keep them honest. Thank you for viewing yet another episode of Simon Says, where facts comes first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. See you next week, same time, same place. And remember, a better Grenada is possible. And to the young lady who gifted me those lovely earrings, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love them. Thank you. Folks, a better Grenada is possible. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.